All right. Well, hello. We are going to be discussing TQA Cloud and what it can do for your quality management system. I'm Kyle with Texas Quality Assurance, and we've got Caleb here. So you may recognize us from the Quality Matters podcast, but this is, this is the product that we work to develop day in and day out. So it's goes beyond just talking about quality on the podcast there. So what we're hoping to do today is go through a lot of the details, benefits of TQA Cloud and what it can do for your quality management system. So I know one of the things that when I was quality manager, I hated these type presentations because I knew that it wasn't going to be until the last 5 minutes of it that they got to, well, what's the contract look like? What's the price look like? What do these things look like? So my intent here is to be open, honest, and upfront about it right now. Of course, depending on when you watch this, because we will post this, on YouTube and such later. Prices are always subject to change, but as of today, what it is for TQA Cloud is really pretty straightforward and simple. Everything's on the website. Starts out at just $100 a month. It's going to get you the first 3 users, 3 gigs of data, and it's a fully functional quality management system. So Caleb, you've run into this before. You get a software and it's like half the menu options are grayed out. You can't touch it. You can't find anything you're looking for, right? I mean, it's a real pain. Well, we don't do any of that with TQA Cloud. So you're going to get the full function quality management system. If you need to go up from there, we can take a look at different prices and options, but we go all the way from, like, say, $100 a month for 3 users to $1,500 a month for our small business enterprises. So it really depends on what you need, how big your organization is. And then when we get to what we call our SMB package, we start throwing in what we call our premium features. And so this is going to be some really advanced reporting. And one of my personal favorite features is the TQA Cloud Quizzes app, which we'll have Caleb detail later. So as we're going through this, Caleb's going to be kind of monitoring comments and stuff. If anyone has questions on things, he'll go ahead and chime in, let us know what the question is, and we can go through and check out the demo from there. So, Caleb, you got anything to add before I get started here?
No, I mean, just like what you were saying with the grayed out areas and stuff like that. I mean, I think we kind of tried to do that some in the beginning, but we remembered our own frustrations and we're like, no, we're just going to make it, user based, storage based, because really that's what we have to pay extra for, once we get into it. Like, we're only passing on, part of that cost. And, you did mention the premium LMS and the reporting. We give you reports, like basic reports in the basic version. So it's not like we were saying you don't see a grayed out area and you still have,
you still get all the basics you need.
Yeah.
By no means are we going to, if you've got the cheapest possible option we provide, you're still set up pretty nicely.
Yeah. I mean, you'll be compliant in any audit or, the extra premium reporting and stuff like that is like specifically for people like Kyle.
It is. When you get to a little bit larger business and you've got a dedicated quality manager, but I'll tell you, that's one of the coolest things I love about TQA Cloud is it makes it so that you do not need that full-time quality manager, at least not till your business gets to a certain scale and complexity, which, I don't know, Caleb, what would you say? Probably around about 100 employees is the point you need to start worrying about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's generally sorry, I'm like monitoring comments over here.
Let's jump in and take a look at the software. Let me change up the little views here. All right, cool. So this is TQA Cloud. Now, first thing you may say is, well, Kyle, that kind of looks like Microsoft tools, isn't that SharePoint there? And yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
It's one of the coolest things about it.
Yeah.
Your end users, they don't like new things.
Yeah.
Your people don't want anything new. This is comfortable. This is familiar. This is what they're already used to and accustomed to. In fact, we're in the process right now of developing an app. And one of the things that, Caleb spends most of his time focusing on is how can we, or at least at this stage of spending time focusing on, is how can we make sure that they get that same type of experience, that this is comfortable, this is familiar, this is what I'm used to.
Yeah. I mean, I remember originally when we first started really delving into the app and all that stuff and customizing, and, we were like, oh, we can't look like the foundation that we use, but then we're
Yeah.
kind of like, well, we're very proud. I mean, SharePoint is the best document control feature.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean,
so
there's
like,
just not a better foundation for it. There really isn't.
we really don't have to do much with the document control side of things. Now, when you get into the quality management features, that's where we start to go crazy. And, and early on we were like, oh, we got to make it. But now, like Kyle said, with this new app, like I'm unabashedly copying, the Teams and the Microsoft format, just so that people can slide right in and know exactly, like, intuitively where to click.
Yep. So it's pretty cool. It's exciting. So we'll start out here with document control. Well, I guess first I should give a little bit of an overview of the modules, what we've got available. So Caleb, chime in anytime here. So we start off with document control. Document control has all the key lists and libraries you need. So we'll take a look here at the left-hand navigation. So it's got all the key libraries you need, everything from your policies and manuals, technical documents and specs, external docs. This is where, we all have different copies of standards and things like that. This is where you put it. Your process procedures, you name it. It's all going to be stored in here. Now, one of the things that's common to all the document control libraries, hang on a second here, there we go, is they all have the same version control, the same approval process, and so forth. So let's take a look here, see if we got a document. All right, so we've got a document here that looks like it's been edited a few times. It's currently in the draft status, and it's in version 2.4. Okay, well, we may want to know what's going on with that document. So we'll take a look at version history. Version history. This is going to show us all the details every time anything's ever been done with the document, as well as the comments so you can check it in. So this is a really cool feature as well, because you know how you always have to have that title block in the bottom of your document? No more. We don't need a title block anymore. Oh, not the title block. Sorry, the version control block. You do need a title block, but that's a different conversation. The version control block, we don't need anymore. It's handled by the system. That information is readily accessible through the version history. Once you're ready to approve that document, you see here that this is assigned to the policies and manuals required approvers. So we'll take a look here. And this is going to tell us everyone that's going to be requested to approve this document. Now, Dawn hasn't complained yet. And I'm really, really surprised she hasn't complained yet, because she gets a lot of these notifications when we publish a document for approval. So let's just see if we can go ahead and get this published. Hey, Dawn, we hope we are not bothering you with all these document approval requests. Any case, you would probably put whatever comments a little more apt for the changes you made to the document. Now, once that occurs, this goes into a pending status, and now it's just waiting on the required approvers to open up their email and say, yeah, I approve those changes. Once everyone that's listed there approves it, it's approved. Caleb, you got anything else on document control here that's key we might want to add?
No, I mean, not so far. I mean, it's all pretty straightforward, but yeah, sorry. Still looking at these comments here.
No problem. Man, I am afeared. Oh, no. Does not look like my laptop's plugged in. We may be in a race against time for the battery. Okay. So I may turn it over to you here in a moment. Okay. So that's basics of document control. But the cool thing is, like I say, those features are available across all the different document libraries. And we do have the option for custom fields of data in here. So if that's something that you need to be able to better track your documents, it's not a problem. We can get it added in there. We have one customer, and I love to talk about this one, but they have thousands of documents in a single library, and they can find what they're looking for in 2 or 3 clicks. So it makes it really easy. You don't need folders. We can just toss that whole old idea, out of the water.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at your current system, like, can you legitimately say without a doubt that there's not an uncontrolled copy somewhere on somebody's computer?
Yeah, exactly. And this way you don't have to worry about it. Oh, I should have showed that. This is another cool feature. All right. So let's say that you need to share a document with someone. Maybe you want them to take a look at it. Maybe it's been a few days since you published it, and maybe you just need to give a little poke and a nudge to your manager there to review it and approve it. Well, we can right click and hit share on there. Let's go ahead and
are you sharing your screen?
Yeah. So there we go. We're going to share this to Caleb, test. Sure. If I can type here, share of a doc in case. So he's going to get a link to that. Oh, crap. I'm not sharing the screen. Dadgummit. Well, I did that all for nothing there. All right. So you see the end result. We'll do it again. So we'll right click a document. We'll click share. And just start typing in their email address.
I just got a document shared with me.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I heard the ding. So, all right. So there you go. And that's it. They get the link to it. It's nice and simple. Also, let's say you need to put that in an email. You can copy the link here.
And so that link is always going to link to the live version, the updated version. You're not going to go to an old email and click on it, 2 months from now and see that. It's always going to be the most like the last approved version.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. We're not playing the email game. Well, is this the copy I sent to Janice on the 3rd, or is this the one that I sent to Robert on the 8th? I don't know. You don't have to worry about any of that.
People won't even see the old versions unless you go into the version history. Like what you see is what's approved.
Yeah. Well, that's another cool feature too. So this document right here is in version 2.1. So good quality management controls says we don't want this shared with the outside. We don't want this shared unless it's the approved version. So unless you're one of the very few people in the company that has approved level access, you won't see version 2.1. You'll see version 2. So you don't have to worry about that draft version getting out in circulation. So it's lots of cool stuff. It makes your life as a quality manager, as a small business owner. Heck, if you're HR, safety manager, really anyone in the company, it makes your life a lot easier, a whole lot easier.
I think we could probably spend a whole day just on document control. But in summary, it's like we haven't had any document control feature requests in a year, 2 years. Like, that's how that's why we decided on SharePoint. It's done. It's taken care of.
It is. Yeah, it's a really good foundation to work from. So that's another cool thing about running from SharePoint, running from Microsoft. So Texas Quality Assurance, we are Microsoft partners. We're what you call a CSP, a cloud solutions provider. But really what's cool about Microsoft is we've got massive redundancy on the data, right? So it's not like you have to worry about, well, where's this server farm hosted? Is this just in some dude's backyard? Has he got a shed out there with an AC in it?
Are our documents going to be held hostage by a hacker?
Oh, yeah. No, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Again, toss all those worries out the window. It's one of the reasons we work with Microsoft. Plus, you'll notice every time you click something in SharePoint, you see the little circle spin. And that's not because it's running slow. What it's doing is it's writing that data to multiple data centers, confirming the data has been written there before the execution is finished on this side. So whenever there's natural disaster, and they're going to happen, if that data center is destroyed, your data is still fine. Not to mention it makes security, everything so much better. My computer is about to have a fit on me if I don't get this charger situation figured out real quick. So Caleb, I'm going to hop off for just a moment and let you have the reins. Can you get started talking on competence and training by chance?
I can.
Cool.
Let me share my screen here, get the screen share set up. Essentially, it boils down to the relationship between an employee and training and, what the requirements are, that kind of thing. So it's, what you want to be able to do as a quality manager is quickly look and see, or, HR person, whatever it is, whoever's in charge of training at your company, you want to be able to quickly look at employees and see what their requirements are. So we really wanted that to be the focal point, is, how easy it is to quickly go in and see that. So I'm going to start kind of at the end here and, work backwards from that. Looks like I was making a change there. So we'll just republish that. Okay. So what we're going to see loading here is our required training report.
All right, throw that up there for you.
Oh crap! Is it not?
There we go. Okay.
There we
Sorry.
go. Okay. All right. So I don't know if you heard all that, if you were still able to, but I was just
Yes.
talking about, the relationship and, what the end goal here is. So what we're looking at here is a quick glance of every training that needs to happen.
Go ahead and zoom in a little bit more on that. This is the required training report. Oh, I forget there you go.
No, it'll
Zoom
work.
feature's a little funky sometimes.
Yeah. So, it's showing us this employee needs all these trainings. I can come over here.
That's a lot of training.
Yeah. This is our demo site. So I can say, okay, show me this employee here, or, that kind of thing. But it's showing you everything you need to do. So you could come in here every day, every other day. If this is all blank, that means all of your training requirements are fulfilled. You move on. You're done with training for the day.
What about when you've got a training that you got to bring an outside person in? Forklift, crane stuff's great. Like ASNT, penetrant, that's a great example. You got to schedule that guy a month, 2 months, 3 months in advance. How do I know who needs trained 3 months from now?
So up here we've added, this runs the query and says, okay, in 90 days or 120 days, who else is going to need training? So what that's going to do is it's going to add those future, like, once a training, let's say that the person's forklift certified and that only lasts, a year or 2 years, whatever it is. The system will anticipate that. It'll look at that date and then say, okay, is that date 3 months from now? And if so, when you click this 120 days, you can see that list just changed. See, now I added this employee here. Adam Tybalt needs to take confined space on, his thing expires in 12/19. So we actually are able to glance into the future, and then we call up our training guy or, training company, and we say, hey, we're actually gonna, and then you could come over here and do confined space, and then say, okay, we actually need training for, looks like 50 people here, but
we don't do a real good job keeping up with our fictitious data.
Yeah, our demo page is not very. Yeah, we're not good trainers on the demo page. So,
well, my middle son, he owes a little bit of money for some damages to some property at home. And so I told him, I was like, you can work off the debt. So I think I might have him come up here and update a lot of our fake information,
our fake training records. I mean, there's good and bad, because if you update them, then they won't show up. And we do kind of want to, so this could be the example of somebody that doesn't currently have a system in place, right?
This is kind of how it would look like a lot of times.
Yeah, you're going to have to do a lot of training that you haven't recognized because you didn't have a system.
So do we have a job description? Like how on earth would the system know what Robert in shipping needs for training?
So all of that is determined by what we call our training classification groups. And I try to explain that as like, I kind of like your graduation path, like when you go to college and they give you like the, here's what you have. I forgot why am I drawing a blank? They're like, give you the sheet and they're like, here's all the classes you have to take. So like,
oh yeah.
Dadgum. Anyway, that's kind of what a training classification group is. So let's say
all
that
the training someone has to have that's assigned to that group.
Yeah. And they're only going to be a part of one group. You're not going to have, it doesn't get super complicated where employees are parts of 5 groups. And then you got to make sure that you didn't change that group. And now it doesn't pertain. Like it's really
so you could have a welder helper group, but you could also have a weld shop supervisor.
Yeah. I mean, and this is just something we've recently changed because the original way we tried to do it by department, it was actually pigeonholing several people into, well, they're technically on the employee list as part of that department. It's on payroll that way, but their training requirements are different. So we created this method to give ultimate flexibility because you can name these anything you want.
That's one of the things I hate about other softwares that I've used before is, like you say, it pigeonholes you. It's like, well, we have to do it this way. Why do you do it that way? Because that's how our software makes us do it. And it's like, I want to pull up my hair when I hear someone say that because I know how miserable it is. And man, you can design around it.
Yeah, I can literally create any sort of group that I want right here. I can instantly, it takes a second to load.
But this pulls the information from the training library. And so this is going to be every of every available training. It's going to show you who can have what from where.
Yeah, I mean, I just instantly created a new training group, and I can start setting these training requirements to employees. So let's say we need that, and we need that.
Okay, so here's a scenario that people ask a lot. Let's say that no one person is required to operate a forklift, but we want at least 2 people in our department. Maybe we've got 10, 15 people in the department. We want at least 2 people to be able to operate the forklift. That way, whenever something needs done with a forklift, we're not twiddling our thumbs. Can you give someone optional training? And if it's optional training, like not required training, how do you make sure it doesn't expire?
Well, so again, that's the big difference, and something we have to explain quite a bit, especially to new quality managers. There's a difference between training that's good for the company and training that's like a bare minimum to pass an audit. And we call that's required training. So when you look at that report that we showed previously, that is all training that is absolutely required and you have to do. Now, like in Kyle's situation where it's like, okay, so-and-so has a forklift certification, but that's not a job requirement. We're not going to get in trouble from, on an audit.
But you don't want to let it expire.
Yeah. So what we would do in that circumstance is we would just enter a training record for him to, him or her taking that training class and not add it as a required training. So then you're still tracking that training. We still have a tab under the competence and training library. I don't know why that's not posting that page there. Sorry, a little technical behind the scenes stuff there. Okay, so we can click this tab here and it's going to show us all of the trainings that aren't necessarily expired or aren't necessarily required, but have expired. Cool. So that if you entered in that record that person took the competence or the forklift training, you put in the date that they took it, you set the retrain interval, how often they have to retake it for the right time. The system's still going to tell you that. It's just not going to be on your main required training report.
Wait, so does this mean that I'm going to have to deal with all of the recertifications for someone that hadn't worked here for 3 years?
No. In that case, that's where the system only shows you active, when you're doing this required training report, which I consider like the bread and butter, the main use area here. The rest is just kind of a bonus. Whenever you're using just the required training report tab, like it's only showing you active employees. And we also have a new hire. And this was one of the requests from our customers is like, hey, I've got new hires here. I haven't trained them yet because I don't know if they're going to be here in 3 months. Which is fine.
It is sad that is a consideration that people are having to make more and more and more these days, but it's true.
So you can filter on non-new hires, which you just designate that into. So you could filter on non-new hires. You could filter on just active employees. And for sure that you're not going to be doing, paying or taking the time out to do training that's not absolutely required.
That's really cool. So let's take a minute here and maybe take a look at our quizzes feature. So for everyone, while Caleb's getting a couple things pulled up for quizzes, this is our lightweight LMS, meaning that you can put video, link to a video, PowerPoint, whatever document, training material you've got for the training, and you can have your employees sit down and do the training at their pace. Now, this is one of what we call our premium features. So this is only available for our SMB package and above. But if your company's got, 100 employees in it, even 50 employees, it's probably going to start to be something that you want to take a look at. And look, oh gosh, when I was safety manager, I don't know how much time I had to spend going through training on this stuff. The truth is, I probably only, when we do new hire orientation, I would take a full day with new hires nearly. It was about a little over 6 hours of content in that day. The truth of it is only about an hour and a half of that time did I have a lot of value to add, because I'd take them on a shop tour. I'd show them some of the basics about the quality management system. I'd show them all the basics, safety stuff that they needed, give them a good talk, make sure they understand the culture and whatnot here. And the other nearly 4 hours of my time for new employees was reciting the same training I've done 100 times. Like, I didn't need my PowerPoints. I didn't need my scripts. All right, we're talking about has come. All right, now we're talking PPE. You go on. So, in any case, more than pay for itself, I promise you. If you could record yourself doing the training once, get a few questions, few quiz answers, I'm telling you, more than pay for itself. And you know what? Those guys get tired of listening to me talk.
Yeah.
An hour and a half is beneficial. 6 hours, you're like, I'm tired of Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, you're always looking for ways to save time and, make things fresh. And, so if you've got training material and you've got videos or you've got written documentation, like, why not automate that process?
Yeah.
If it's already there and it's already recorded, it hasn't changed, like, put it into a system where the employee can watch it on their own time, in a location, that's not bothering anybody else, and then take a quiz
I got
on
these little things I can hook up to my cell phone. You
Yeah.
can do a pretty damn good cell phone training video. I know that sounds silly, but you can upload that to Microsoft Stream, which is like their internal version of YouTube. Heck, you could upload it as a private YouTube video as long as you get the link. But don't think that you need to do like high quality production to get a good training.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You ready to show them quizzes?
Yeah. I've got a sample employee. This is what an employee would see. Is it sharing right on the screen there? Yeah,
I think
I see it now.
Yep.
Okay, so
so we've got the back end that the quality safety manager sees, and then we got the front end version basically that all your employees see.
Yeah, so this is going to be just the main dashboard. Somebody's going to log in. Again, it's real simple, real streamlined. There's not a bunch of just random stuff everywhere. So an employee would come in. By default, we have only show only required quizzes. So this employee here only has to take one quiz. That's the only training required that has a quiz that they can complete with it. So you can see here, they've completed that quiz. The passing grade percentage is a 90%. We can see, the quiz, the history here. We can see, they've taken that multiple times. They passed it 100% every time. Okay, well, maybe we need to make that quiz a little harder. But if let's say that we have some downtime, or you just want to have somebody trained on something like we were talking about before that maybe isn't required, just good knowledge. So then you deselect this box. The system actually opens up to where you can see all of the quizzes that are possible to take. So, especially I've worked in industries where the weather plays a major factor and, what work is being done. So let's say you have a rainy day, the guys outside can't work outside. So maybe we put them in, in front of a computer for a little bit and have them do their safety training, or, that kind of thing. So,
and safety training is probably going to be the most popular use of this. I personally think. Now, I might be biased there because I was a safety manager for a while, but a lot of the quality training is more of like demonstration. You kind of have to do the inspection to be observed on it. But some safety training's that same way too. So what about like forklift? I can't do forklift training here, can I? Because you have to have the physical drive test.
Well, you can do the practical portion.
Okay.
Yeah. So, let's say that there's a booklet, there's a video or something, talking about safety with the forklift, best practices with, storage and chain, stuff like that, stuff that doesn't necessarily have to be demonstrated. You could have them take a written portion quiz, and then our system is designed to then move that training into the next step where an actual trainer has to sign off on that.
Very cool.
Yeah. And
so how would someone know? Let's say you did the practical, the written portion of the forklift training. How do I know you need a hands-on demonstration? Like, what's gonna be flag me, Kyle? Go watch Caleb stab people with the forklift.
Yeah, let me see if we have a view here. So what it'll be is whenever you go and you look at the competence records, that is going to say pending in a specific column. And
okay, so we can have a filter on that and take a look at it.
Oh yeah,
right,
yeah,
well, that's pretty cool.
And then all the person has to do is click on the record, hit submit as a designated trainer, and it goes in, and
and we could even set up an alert that if a record's added with that on there, you get an email. So
yeah,
all
I
right,
would just
that's
have
cool.
to find a
I don't think we have a good sample here. That's probably a bad question, but yeah.
No, you're capable. Like, that was how the system was designed, where, well, okay, a person can't take just a quiz to get a full forklift competence. Like, there has to be a trainer interjected there at some point. So we set up our system to flag those trainers that say, hey, so-and-so's done with the quiz. It's time to give them their, and I think I was saying that, their practical training.
That's pretty cool.
Been what I was saying before, but
I mean, honestly, I say this stuff, and it's a good sales pitch, but it's the honest God truth too. It's like, I wish I had this 10 years ago.
Yeah,
man, I would probably still be a quality manager if I had this software 10 years ago, because the job would have actually been a little more fun, a little more enjoyable.
Yeah, and we can talk a little bit more about the flexibility of quizzes, or we can talk about the sign-in sheet, how the training classes work.
Let's go ahead to the sign-in sheet, because that's another pretty cool feature. We've got a webinar dedicated to the competence and training module here in, I think, 2 months maybe, so we can go through a lot of details on it then. But yeah, let's take a look at the sign-in sheet. So this is whenever you enter in any new safety training, we go through this, except for quizzes, because it does it automatically.
Yeah, and I mean, this screen is capable of a whole lot. It's designed to double as a sign-in sheet, and you can see by the shape of this window that that's about the size of an iPad.
Yeah,
so
it works out really well.
Yeah, so if you have this screen pulled up and you take it to one of your training classes, then you can automatically build your roster. You can add any sort of training attachments or any sort of physical sign-in sheet. Or I think what Kyle likes to do is, take the camera picture of the sign-in sheet. And you can see that here. Here's Kyle holding up the sign-in sheet. That stores proof that you've done that training and that the people were there. We also have, people that will use the camera to get the training class into like a big group, right? And then you just take a picture of the group, and then the auditor comes and says, well, show me proof that so-and-so took this training, and we double click on it and we can see a picture of the class. Hey, there's Ainsley right there.
Dude, if I worked for them, I would be really tempted when I knew a training day was coming up to dress up like Waldo and just hide in the background of the picture.
There's Waldo right there. But then they wouldn't be able to find you. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on how.
Okay, so but you can like manually sign this though. Like if we used it on a tablet, you could, assuming your tablet's got like a rugged case on it. Lord knows folks in the shop don't handle things delicately.
Yeah. So let's say we're doing, let me close some apps here. Let's say we're doing confined space training today. Hey, this is telling me there's a quiz associated with this training. Make sure that people have passed the quiz. Yep. So we do that, and we come in here and we start adding whoever. Let's see here. Oh, got to make all the selections. All right. So then we're going to add that person to the training class. Okay. So then we come over here. We're going to add that person to the training class.
I'll tell you, my favorite feature is to add all active employees. And then you set your tablet up on a podium, and you tell everyone, find your name and initial when you come in. I have found that to be a pretty cool feature.
Yeah. So I just click that button. We can, where's the remove clear sign?
Oh, you got to sign in. Some of them's got to sign in first.
Yeah. So let's say we did Bramo Glover, and we'll go back here and we'll do this. We'll just start adding. Okay. So then we're like, all right, well, let's just do all active employees. We click this button here. That goes to the employee list, sees who, is an active employee, and then adds their name. So then, like Kyle said, you'd have the iPad sitting on the lectern. You say, hey, everybody sign next to your name when you come in. They click this, sign their name, save signature. This person comes in, signs their name. Oh, well, we only have 7 people in the class today, but there's 90 people on the roster. What do we do? Well, you just remove employees with no signature. That tells you exactly who was there that day.
It's so simple, but it's so cool. And guys, I like it because Man, this is the same thing we do with the sign-in sheet. Actually, a lot of our customers, the sign-in sheet, they re-rev the sign-in sheet every time they hire someone.
Oh, yeah.
Customers pre-TQA Cloud, I should say. And so they re-rev the sign-in sheet every time they fire someone because they put everyone's name on the sign-in sheet, and you're told, go find and initial your name. It's like, it's the same thing, but better.
Yeah. And it's designed with bulk record entries and simplicity in mind.
Yeah.
At first this looks daunting, and then it looks, there's a lot to it. Hey, I just want to do training date and name and maybe an attachment. Well, if you have a whole class of people, you're going to have to do that 40 times.
Oh gosh.
And with this system, we just do it. We click submit training records one time, and it attaches the training to every employee. That way, no matter, like, let's say you're in the middle of an audit and the auditor wants one specific person for one specific training, it's already connected right there, even though that attachment is associated with 40 people that were in that training class. Like, it's attached to every record.
So it does. It really makes training easy. I talk about this when I, do the consultation work a lot of times. Is I tell folks, like, I really, honest to God, used to spend a whole weekend once a quarter going through training records. You've got all these sign-in sheets. Maybe someone did it on a notebook. Maybe someone turned it in on a napkin. Maybe it's on a sign-in sheet. The names are scribbled out. You can't read half the names, and you're trying to take the best guess as to who it was. And, like, it's a mess. And, then so-and-so's like, well, I said I took the training. Is my name on there? No, your name's not on there. Oh man, I forgot. Can you just add me in on it?
Yeah.
No, this is for OSHA required forklift training. I can't just say you were there. Well, you did the test for me and everything. I don't have the paper, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Or the memory or the memory capacity.
Oh gosh. Sorry, I guess you can tell it was a very difficult process for me. I get a little emotional over it. Like it can be so stressful, and keeping up with the training requirements was one of the most difficult ones, because it's like they just say, yeah, well, he's a welder. Well, what's that mean? What's he need?
Yeah.
What shop's he welding in? That actually, the shop he was a welder in for us changed his training requirements, not to mention the weld processes he had to be certified for. So in any case, it's a fun module.
Yeah. Okay. And it's designed for ultimate flexibility. Like, we've never had a customer ask a question, well, how would I do this? It's like, there's always a way to create new trainings or add a new training group to accommodate any scenario.
Yep. And so, to be clear, for anyone listening, everything we just talked about, except quizzes, is included in every, that's odd. It's okay. Oh, that's what you're looking at. I guess something on our demo site is wanting the page to be republished. All right, that's fine. Come on. Okay, so let's take a look now at calibration and maintenance. So this is another fun one, really, really, really similar to competence in training, but it's pretty cool. So real simple. You've got equipment. I guess I'll talk about it for a minute before I go too much through the screen. So we combine calibration and maintenance into one module. So if you're an ISO certified company, you're looking at that going, oh, yeah, that makes sense. If, on the other hand, you're an API certified company, you're probably looking at it and going, well, Kyle, these are two different processes. And correct, they are different processes. However, you track the data the exact same way. Preventative maintenance, from a record keeping standpoint, preventative maintenance and calibration on a tool, no difference at all. We have a task to be performed, an interval for it to be performed on, requirements for the task, and the requirement to record it and reset the counter. So record keeping, all the same process. But I got to get out of the other way, because I know folks listening to this can be like, oh, they're different processes. You can't put them together. Procedurally, you're correct. And especially if you're a company that handles like rental equipment, things like that.
Yeah.
Definitely different processes, but record keeping, it's all the same.
Record, or tracking what's due and what's
All right, so calibration and maintenance, pretty cool. First thing is we have our equipment list. All right, I'll forgive you in advance. I get a little tab happy. I like to open stuff in new tabs. All right. So this is a list of all of the equipment you have in your shop. And again, even if you're a rental, a company that rents equipment, you could store all the equipment in here still, and you're going to have full history of everything that you ever did to it.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll take a look here at, say, this caliper. Well, let's see what we can figure out about this. Go ahead and turn off that comments feature there. Yeah, we'll allow it to use the camera. All right. So what we've got here, all the basic details about it, everything you need to know. What's its ID, serial number, first date of use. Now, I'm proud of us here, Caleb, because before API ever cared about the first date of use, we cared about first date of use. So good job on us. All right. So we care about the first date of use, manufacturer, all the basic information you need. And we assign it in equipment type. What's its status? So once this is inactive, maybe it's broken, retired, whatever the case may be, you don't lose your data. You don't lose your history. You got to have that information in there. API wants you to keep it for 10 years. So don't go deleting records. All right.
Well, and that's kind of what ties in also with training. A lot of people that we talk to are like, I've got this spreadsheet and it's very, they have the grid where it's like the employee and the training or the equipment and the training. And it's like, this shows me the last date that this employee took the training or the last date that this was calibrated. I'm like, yeah, but that's all it shows you.
That's it. You only know the last date. When you overwrote that cell, you overwrote your history.
Yeah. And that's why our system has to be so robust, is because we keep complete history, and you can pull up your old trainings. You can see every instance that person has been trained for. Or let's say, God forbid, an accident happens or something shipped, like you have proof that at that time that employee was trained.
Yeah.
So,
well, we had a customer here a couple years ago that they had an employee leave. The employee, of course, did what a lot of disgruntled folks do sometimes and called OSHA and started making claims about all sorts of stuff that wasn't true.
Yeah.
And, when we were going through doing the response for OSHA, I was really proud because the customer was able to pull up their training records and like, no, we actually trained him on that 2 weeks before he left. And he said, we never trained him. Here's his signature on it.
Yeah.
And once he was able to show that to OSHA, the OSHA inspector is kind of like, okay, I get it.
And, how many times are, especially during audits or in times of, chaos where it's like you trying to find the record, you're trying to find crap, I know I have that old spreadsheet somewhere, like that's where it helps to have an organized system that's designed specifically to show you historical data.
Yeah, well, and it has happened to me before that we sent a guy out on a job a year ago, but those parts just sat in a warehouse for a year, right?
Yeah.
So we did the work and it just sat there. Now that they're unboxing the parts, their quality guy is doing his job for validation. And part of process validation is for certain key tasks, something like heat treating, machining, welding, inspection. A lot of times you want to get the competence history of the employee. You want to know where they certified to do the work at the time they did the work.
Yeah.
And so, if you're overwriting stuff, history's gone. And it's been real helpful that I could go back and be like, oh, yeah. So at that time, here's all the training he had.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of a rabbit trail that we went, but like that's super important for equipment. Like, hey, you shipped out all these parts, or you figured out that this caliper, was bad at us, or how do we know this caliper was calibrated 2 years ago whenever this went out or something? Like, well, here's the historical record of that being calibrated.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look here. Go back to the equipment list. So again, we got all the basic info about the equipment there. You can store a picture of it. Oh my gosh, this is so helpful. Okay. So another customer, here a few months ago, we started on a fractional quality management program with them. And some of the equipment is really hard to identify. It's kind of hard to figure one from the other. My eyes ain't like they used to. I really need to have these on, stare at the screen right now, but I'm fighting it.
Or you're looking at a computer screen and you're like, okay, which one is serial number SM4? You get a picture of it and you're like, oh, that's the red one. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. Yeah. And so the picture's so handy. And it's super easy to do. And then we have a list here of, this is the record of everything that's ever been done to it.
Yeah.
So right here from this equipment, I can see its full history. Oh gosh, that's easy. Like it's just literally like a wave of relief wash over me when I see that, because I still in my mind go back to, all right, well, now I need to go to my binder and flip, and pray. And there's no flip and pray. It's there.
Yeah.
And this is the event record of that event.
Yeah.
Now you can attach a copy of the cert, whatever you need.
Caleb did not attach the attachment there like he should have. But.
All right. So we need to issue an NCR. And since I'm going to issue an NCR, I want to go ahead and get, All right. So we'll go ahead and cancel that out. But no, really, really cool stuff. So that's the equipment. And you can do this on an interval of time. And you can also do it on like a miles, right? So like you could say, after so many miles, we want it to do this.
Yeah, it's flexible to do time-based or what we call quantity-based. Like, let's say you've got trucks where you need to do oil changes, or you've got machines where it's like every 100 hours we need to do, some sort of lubricant change or something like that. It's you just select that calibration criteria and it'll tell you, this has this many hours. This is what needs to be done.
Pretty straightforward. Hey, we had someone chime in here. Whoops. Let me here. See if you can read that comment. I need glasses on to read it, and I'm going to be stubborn and refuse. Okay. So that's like I said, that's basics calibration and maintenance there. So what's the question we got?
Well, David says, I joined late due to a safety meeting. If you haven't already, could you please talk about importing documents and records into TQA Cloud? Is that all on the end user, or do you offer an import tool?
All right. So we have looked at doing an import tool before, and years ago I tried a lot, and we've done some different things on it, and it's tough, and it's really tough. The reason being is I would say probably 3/4 of the TQA Cloud customers we have, this was their first electronic quality management system. And then you've got difficulties with previous versions of the document, and because people rename these things all sorts of goofy things. Like this is Rev 1. This one's Rev 1 with a capital R. This is Rev 1 with a space. And there's just so many variables. It's really tough to make a tool.
Bunch of decisions that have to be made in that process. Yeah. I wouldn't even trust AI to do that. Like,
no. Well, we've tried experimenting with that too, and we definitely don't trust it.
Yeah.
Starts eating some digital mushrooms and you get some weird results.
You can pull up, or I can pull up the document library. I mean, it's all drag and drop. You can
go ahead.
Loads.
Caleb does more of the import work than I do. But I'll answer your question here though, is it's not that hard to do, truthfully. So you could probably do it on your own. If you've got a lot of documents or maybe like tons of subfolders and you need some help with, well, maybe instead of these subfolders, I could do document categories and different columns and things like that. Then you might want to go ahead and engage us for what we call our low engagement implementation. And that's the type of stuff we do, is that when that one happens, I'll probably be taking a look at your document structure myself, be like, all right, so we can probably set up a couple of columns here for this data, another column here for this. Let's migrate these in one folder at a time and set everything as we go. And that's definitely something that we can help you with. But if you just got a handful of procedures, handful of forms, a manual policy, Caleb's going to show you how you can do it real quick and easy.
So I don't know. Yeah. Okay. My screen's up. Just making sure there.
There you go.
Okay. So, and I was actually just opened this. I was like, there's a little thing we made for the demo. Like, that's how easy it is, just pulling it off your desktop there, or any file location. Let's say you've got a server or something like that, and you have all your documents sorted out. That's all you have to do. Literally select all, copy all. They all come in as copies of those documents. We're not moving locations. You're not losing historical data. It's just making a copy of what you tell it to put into TQA Cloud. So I always keep some goofy stuff here. Important spreadsheet, important document. I'm going to go ahead and throw those into the forms and documents here. And we've got all this crazy sample data here, but all I got to do is just come right over here, you can see it says copy. So, you're not transferring stuff from the cloud and from your server into TQA Cloud, and we're not going to keep it from you. And, if you ever stop becoming a stop being a subscriber or whatever, you still have all of your old stuff. So now we see those two documents there. There's also this upload button. You click that, it'll, do it the other way where you just select what you want to upload. But it's that easy. If you've got the file, the folders filled out, I mean, there's nothing.
It doesn't take too much time. It really doesn't.
It takes way more time sifting through the bad files that you don't need to bring into TQA Cloud.
Yeah, that's very true. And where it does get to be difficult, where I have seen folks struggle, and my heart really does go out to them, is the situation happens more frequently than I thought. Is you've got an old quality manager that left, and before they left, they decided to delete, or maybe they stored in some funky location you can't find, all the original versions of your documents, and all you're left with are PDFs.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of scenarios. Like maybe they had a cloud share that they didn't know that they were storing stuff on, and it was to their personal email, like just all kinds of stuff.
Yes. Oh, so that's another great thing. So again, data security, oh gosh, we make it easy. We should probably do a whole episode on data security, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, so we got another question here. Talking about reminders for CAPAs. Let me see. So what's the question here? For managing CAPAs, does TQA Cloud help with project management, like reminders about RCA completion, CAPA implementation? People tend to ignore a lot of the automated messages. Yeah, that is so very true. Okay, so couple of answers for you there. We'll take a look at some of the things the software can do, but one answer is for a lot of our customers, we have our fractional quality management plan. And so this is the service companion to TQA Cloud. And I will say our goal with the fractional quality management is that we are not a permanent fixture of your company. We're only there for a while to get you through, maybe long-term on the lowest level. But even on the lowest level, we do what we call a QMS checkup. And it's a monthly review of all of your quality management records. So if we see things that are falling behind, we'll double check the documentation on your CAPAs, your NCRs, make sure that it's up to snuff for the audit. So that's one way to keep up with it. But you can set up alerts. We can set up triggers. We can set up a lot of options in there. And again, I know people tend to ignore those automated messages. So that's always a problem with those alerts. Folks ask us that.
Figure out how to get people not to ignore alerts. I think we'd be very wealthy.
Wealthy. Yeah. Maybe that needs to be the next business venture. Yeah. But here, Caleb, how about you want to show him what we can do with our action item page, and go ahead and give an example of setting up an alert. So I'll give you a second here to get that stuff pulled up before I share the screen. Let me know when you're ready to go. But you can set up an alert on a certain field, right? So once a field is edited, once that field's edited, you can get an alert triggered off of when a certain field is edited or modified. So like you're not going to move on to the root cause analysis phase until the immediate containment has been determined. So that would be an easy way to know, hey, it's time to move on to root cause analysis and send out that alert is once an immediate containment field is signed off on. Cool. We had an edit to that field, trigger the alert for root cause. And then again, the action items page, it's just going to show you everything there. And we have the option too. This would be like a new development thing, but it's just based off how many hours it takes us to do it. So it would be pretty simple, pretty cheap, is we can develop a custom dashboard for you. So if you had 10 different criteria of when you would want something to show up on that dashboard, no problem. We can build it for you. All right. You ready, Caleb?
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is the action board Kyle was talking about previously. So this is, showing us a little bit more than documentation, or, it'll show us NCRs that are open. And this is just like an at a glance space. And I like to say, maybe on a Monday, a quality manager, production manager, whoever comes in here says, okay, well, this is all the stuff that needs our attention, which for our demo site is a lot. We're not. Yeah.
I think I know how my kid's going to pay off his debt now.
Yeah.
But hey, that to be said, a 14-year-old that doesn't know to not leave fishing hooks hanging out by the dock that the dog can bite, I trust that kid to do the work on here.
Well, it looks like training's our biggest problem on this demo site, which is, that's pretty realistic actually.
It is.
But if we go back to, let's say, creating an alert or something, so we could come to our non-conformance report, and these are just all of the fields that's part of our form. But let's say that we want to, I don't know. So here's our disposition column. This would be like, okay, this is where you decide what happens with the NCR. Okay, well, let's say that when that column gets changed to a scrap, right? Let's say that we want to alert the production manager or alert the shop manager. Hey, we got some scrap. Or no, rework would probably be a better scenario there. We got to rework.
Be better.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to come over here. We're going to say alert me. Nope, that's not it.
And then you could have it part of your process here that once you receive that alert that this has been determined to be rework, that's your cue to write your rework instructions, and you can actually store your rework instructions in TQA Cloud.
Yeah. So we could say, all right, so when disposition changes to rework,
there you go.
Then we want to send an email to, there's a few things that
you could have it go to, well, this is pretty cool. So you could have it go to the person that created it. You could have it go to yourself. You could have it go to the last person that modified it. You just kind of got to think through the logic here. And you can even put a distribution group in here.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I just put me, Kyle, let's add Dawn because she loves getting our fake alerts. So now whenever anybody makes an update to an NCR and selects, disposition to rework, and you can set up, I mean, I don't think there's any limit to these rules here.
I think there's a 300 per person limit.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can configure this however you want. I mean, and I struggled for a second because there's like multiple ways to do that. I mean, there's multiple ways that you can filter, send out alert. Like there's usually more than one way to do things with the software, but that would probably be, if somebody asked me how would I do that, that's how I would explain it.
Yeah. No, so it's pretty cool. I mean, well, hey, this has got us into the NCR module. So, you already got the reins. So go ahead and show us a little bit about the modules that are available under QMS management.
Okay. So if we just click on just the QMS management, it's going to show us all of, what's included. We should have a report coming there,
and these reports are available for everyone. This isn't limited to premium.
Yes, I believe. Yeah, for the demo, we're showing just the basic version, and you can see that it's enough. The premium version for the people that, really,
basic stuff. This is all you need.
Yeah. So here's our data. We can see these are generally the bad stuff requiring scrapped or rework. Sorry for that thing showing up there. Total quantity of NCRs having scrapped or rework.
And it's all dynamics because it's Power BI. So it's like as you click on one thing, it automatically filters. Like, it's so cool.
We can see like which defect here has the most NCR. So we can see we have a problem with no pack, there's no packing list shoved in there. Or, let's say we want to say, all right, well, who's doing the packing lists? All right, well, that looks like it's happening in September. We had a January instance, a September instance.
It doesn't seem to be like any big clustering of data. This might not be something worthy of a kappa.
Yeah. And I mean, you click on any of this stuff, like, okay, well, what is Adam been up to? Oh, well, he's part of this, he's got some problems on the saw. He's got NCR here where there was 8 reworks. So,
and again, we don't do the best with our fictitious data, so we don't really have a lot of data to pull from. And one of the reasons I preach to everyone, the more data you put in, the better you can analyze it. Don't be like us. Put a lot of data in. Although that creates the opposite problem on the training session. So we definitely need to do something there.
I mean, and it illustrates it like, I just click on this failed hardness test. Okay, well, this person, Corey, who did that happened in April and, part of the shipping department or something.
Well, go ahead and pull up maybe the premium reports for the NCR module in case someone is like, okay, well, what else you got?
Let us show you. Okay, so this is our premium reports. You got the premium color here. We've got 4 tabs of just, I think, Kyle, would I get in trouble for saying what you normally call it?
Oh, no, you can say it. We won't get in trouble there.
Oh, or the quality manager porn, is that?
Oh yeah, that's totally what this is. This is quality manager porn through and through. I mean, you'll get hooked on this.
So yeah, I mean, you can see the trends here. You can, again, Power BI, you can filter anything you want to. Anything you click on is going to dynamically change whatever you're looking at. So let's say we want to see external versus internal, open versus closed. We have trends here going all the way back to 2023. You can select those date ranges here. So, that's when our data starts. So we could just say, all right, well, show me only 2024. All right, well, we only had one.
We're not doing good.
So let's add 2023 to that. So yeah, here we got 23 NCR. So that tells us we had 22 in 2023.
And
so
I used this actually just last month. One of our customers doing their QMS checkup, because I always take a look at the trend on the data, see how things are going. And I was like, man, guys, I noticed here that y'all had a major uptick in NCRs being reported. And that followed about a month after y'all put another process in place. I kind of wonder if these two events aren't linked.
Yeah.
And so that's actually what I'm going to be using all of our FQM time this month digging into, is trying to see, like, is there a link on that?
Yeah. And
this is the coolest one.
So here's the Pareto chart.
And this is a very dynamic Pareto chart. We take Price's Law as a suggestion on it.
Yeah. I think so by default, by default, we're set at 70%. And for those that aren't familiar, it's just kind of showing us where the majority of the problems are coming from.
Yeah.
So let's say that we want to know where 70% of our problems come from. Well, these highlighted defects are where 70% come from. So if we wanted to eliminate 70% of problems, here's the defects we need to address.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, these are the premium reports. So if you're on the SMB package or above, you got this. So another question here, Caleb, go ahead and maybe let's go through some of the other QMS features. We're running a little short on time, and I'll kind of talk through a few things when I get that pulled up. So the question is about this is SharePoint, lots of ideas for 365, and absolutely. So like, these are Power BI reports. There's some pretty cool ways that you can embed those reports in a PowerPoint. For another question was about management review. So this is something that I've actually been thinking on recently, because I've had to put together a handful of management reviews the last couple of months through our FQM program. I almost think I could build a dashboard in SharePoint to where I could have all of links to all of the reports that I need on there.
Yeah.
And you basically just make it a little public work instruction, but you can do the same thing in a management review work instruction on a Word document. And you put links in there. I want to run this report with these filters. I want to run these reports with these filters. And there have been a couple of customers that have paid for new development for us. And what we'll do is, if the ERP allows, we'll create a connector to your ERP so that, say, you're tracking number of defects per units produced. Well, then we can take that data from the NCR module and compare against what's over there. Again, it's this little bit added cost to make that data connection, get the report built, but then we can build out the report. So yeah, it'll definitely make things like management review a lot faster. And you can see just from the premium reports, you could just do a snippet of one of those.
Yeah. And the I forget what ERP they had, but it was literally live data. They had their production data linked in, and then it was showing up NCR scrap rework versus total production. So they literally had in a Power BI report, what their production metrics were. So,
all right, here you go.
All right. So as far as QMS management stuff goes, we do have the basic NCR Kappa approved supplier list. We have an audit management module for just specifically for keeping track of audits and results. And then most recently, we have the engineering change, management of change, risk register, that kind of thing. I mean, is there one specifically you want to dive into real quick?
Ooh, I think I might geek out for a minute over the risk register, because again, former safety manager. Actually, just Tuesday, I'm going to be driving to Killeen. I've got a lead for another customer up there. They're needing an ISO 45001 system in place ASA freaking P. So they need a safety program built from scratch. And this is one of the coolest tools if you are a safety manager. All right, we take a look at our risk register. All right, so we know with safety, it's all boils down to risk. What bad things could happen? Now, this is one of the places where I think our government's actually done a good job. Is I like the OSHA regulations. They're pretty comprehensive. Yes, there's a few dumb rules in there that don't make any sense, that make things more difficult for no reason, but 99% of it is really good. Plus, if you're going for something like ISO 45001, or if you want to maybe get a discount on your workers' comp insurance, because we did this before, you do a full legal assessment and hazard assessment on your facility. Well, cool. So we'll go through and identify risks by each work area. So blaster, what bad stuff could happen? Furnace, what could happen? Welder, what could happen? And you just enter in all the bad things that could happen.
Sales.
And then you tie it to your legal requirement. Yes, allow that. And then you tie it to your legal requirement. So if we were doing something for forklifts, it would be like, OSHA CFR 1910.178, powered industrial trucks. Maybe I want to give the section to it. Maybe I just leave the CFR. That's pretty much good enough. And then I'll put mitigation method for that risk. But here's my favorite one is the risk. So this might be TQA -PRO 178 for, powered industrial trucks. Okay, cool. So I know that risk is mitigated by what this procedure tells me to do. That is really cool because we can then create a hazard assessment. And I love hazard assessments. It is effectively does the same thing as your JSA, but it ties in all the legal requirements. Plus, a hazard assessment is just a fun tool when you need to do a quick toolbox talk or you need to do a new employee orientation. Like you don't want something super in depth, but you want to be able to tell them, here's the dumb stuff don't do. So you get a hazard assessment for each major machine, each work area, and you post that sucker out in the work area. You can then pick it up for quickie toolbox talk or in training. So let's take a look here. Let me clear all our filters on this. All right. So let's say that we're doing a training for a blaster. We've got a new abrasive blaster starting. I probably should have added more risks for him. Let's see. Is furnace any better? Okay. Furnace has a couple of risks identified.
Yeah. Control to add multiple there if you want to.
All right. So now we'll run our report. And so this is going to show me the risk. It's going to show me my control level. It's going to show me my mitigation method. I can come down here. Here's my legal requirement. Here's the documentation to mitigate that risk. This is fantastic. This was one of my favorite tools as a safety manager, but I had to do all of it manually. I had to make each one of these forms manually and make sure that it matched my risk register. This is easy. Yeah. And then every time you identify a new risk, there's a new update to an OSHA CFR. You add that in here, and now you know the documentation to go to make sure you're compliant. It's just, in any case.
And
it's so simple. It's stupid.
On that hazard assessment, there's an option to print that. So it'll take a screenshot of that risk assessment. And Kyle's idea is like you put that right up on the shop area, and there you go. All of your stuffs.
Oh, yeah. And then, here's our most recent tool we added. And I guess it's a good example. So we really do listen to our customer feedback. Now, we're not quick to jump onto developing something new. We got to make certain that it's going to work. It's going to be a good universal tool. And then developing it to be universal is tough.
It flows well with the, current software. Yeah.
But this is an example of it. It was a customer communication log because there's a lot of times you get customer feedback that you need to capture, but it's not necessarily actionable. Like it's not obvious we need an NCR for this. This isn't necessarily a customer complaint, but it's good information that we want to collect and gather. And maybe we do something about it. Maybe we don't. Well, now we've got that option. You can, who collected the data? What's the customer name? their information. Really, really good stuff.
Just the horror stories and the experiences with people leaving, especially salespeople.
Yes.
And having to dig through their emails to find old customer correspondence or old.
Sucks.
Yeah. And yeah, it's terrible. So, as long as you're using this tool, you filter by category, you filter by customer, you have all of that data, no matter who's the salesperson now or, that thing. So,
and that's one of the key benefits of a quality management system is like it really should give you internal assurance that your quality management system is going to work. Your health and safety, environmental management system, this works for all of it. It's like you need to know that if your star team player leaves, you're not up a creek. And I think that's a pretty big problem that we run into. And I think it's been, a reason we've sold TQA Cloud to a number of customers is because they were in this situation where that quality manager who had been there for 10 years, or maybe he was a rock star that came in and got stuff set up in a year or two, when they leave, if they don't have all the documentation set up in an easy to access manner, I mean, what do you do when the report that is run every day is 10 folders deep in a file share and there's 7 other copies of it in that same file share that aren't used for some unknown reason?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Or the person's not there that has access to it that day. Like it's
so stressful. It's so stressful. So
we did have another question, and you touched on it briefly, where it said, how does TQA Cloud help prepare for management review meetings? I mean, I think you did go over that a little bit with reports, and that's essentially what we did was we reversed a management review, a reverse engineered kind of a management review in order to build those reports. So
yeah, and there's some things that you're not going to be able to automate because it's too unique to your company. But here's a great one that really you don't have to do much at all. Like you can honestly just do snippets. And this is what I do when I put together management review for folks is they were looking at supplier performance. We've got a supplier performance report on there. It's going to show you all the NCRs for each supplier. So now we know which suppliers are a pain in the rear, which ones are doing well. It's just a snippet. And then I write a couple of lines about, what we can extract from this graph. And it makes it really, really easy. Same thing if you're wanting to track, even if you have to do it manually, you can export all of the data out to Excel. So you're taking a look at NCRs and you want to know, well, how many NCRs do we have during this time period for this part number? And we don't already have a cool report made for you. No problem. Yeah. Download it to Excel, run your own pivot charts and graphs off of it. And if you find one that you're like, man, I do this every month, could you guys just like automate this for me so it's just a button I click? Yeah.
Or they come in and say, hey, this is really helpful for me. We take a look at it and we're like, that's true. Yeah, we can, we can put that in a future update. Like we've done that several times.
We have. And so, that's kind of the line is sometimes we'll put it in the feature update, but then you may not see it for 6 months because it takes us a while before we get anything out, which is a good thing. And this isn't stuff you want to rush.
Yeah.
And if it's something where it's like, no, this is really unique to your company, it's just new development and it's a one-time invoice. It's quick. We get it done. Life's good. And they save time every day.
Yep.
So that's kind of the basic features. Let me check and see if there's anything else from high level that I haven't addressed here. Oh, should talk about this. If you have a problem, help desk is your best friend. If you have a problem, you're like, I got an error message. This isn't acting the way that I think it should act, whatever the case may be. Whoops, I clicked the wrong link there. That's the action items page. Also very useful. That's what Caleb was showing a minute ago. You click support desk. So if you call us, you shoot us an email, you're probably going to be told, put in a ticket. Well, that's how you put in a ticket. You just click the little help support button over there on the right. You get a ticket, you put it in. Now, officially, we have 48 hours to respond to you. The truth of the matter is it drives us freaking bonkers to see tickets sitting there unanswered, unresponded to. So you'll probably hear from someone within the hour a lot of the time. But that's how to get to us. Another way, this is really cool, is where I'm really proud of Caleb's work on this, is he's created a heck of an amazing start guide. So the truth is this is based off of a lot of questions and tickets and emails and everything that we get from customers. this is your guide to using TQA Cloud. It is short, it is simple, it is easy to follow. So if you're new to the system, you don't want to pay for us to do the implementation for you, no problem at all. Here you go. You just walk right through it. We're going to start with, that's okay. It's doing that thing again. I don't know what's going on.
Us as admins, we're at this.
Yeah.
There's no,
Yeah. Our accounts are a little bit different, so it thinks I'm trying to edit it.
Yeah.
In case. It's going to go through each of the list. How do you set up your employee list? What's it look like? How do you do it? We've got videos for stuff. You want to populate your employee list? Cool. We're going to show you step by step how to do it. And the thing is, these are all short form videos. Our goal has been that these are anywhere from 30 seconds to like 2 minutes long. We don't want it to be that big.
We used to have the longer videos, and we were like, nope, we're going to chop these up because nobody wants to sit through 10 minutes of something they're not.
So. But yeah, and then you can just go to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, and it's going to walk you through everything nice, simple, easy. And as you see, this isn't like pulling out some big manual. And this is one thing I was bragging on you the other day for, is I was talking about, like, we've got a really good, help section. And someone said something, well, I've heard that before. And I'm like, yeah, me too. And you go to these goofy articles, especially Microsoft and HubSpot, they piss me off. And it's these mile-long articles with the click this and click that and technical terms you don't understand. And you're like, can you just call me and show me how to do it?
Yeah. This
is actually faster and easier than calling and having to show you how to do it.
Yeah. I preface that generally with when I'm doing a demo, or I'm like I said, if you forget what I just said, go over to the help section. It's literally everything I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. I've actually felt a little guilty before. We've had people pay for training because they wanted that personal touch. They wanted a human being showing them,
asking questions. Yeah. But
literally, like Caleb, he just says the same stuff that's on here.
Yeah. And it's more in depth generally, because as a person, you forget things, but
and then we've got all the videos that are in there. We've got a page of all the videos here. So if you got questions, we got answers.
Yeah.
And when that's not enough, put in a help ticket. We'll be glad to help you out. Yeah. Now, this is one place where pairing TQA Cloud with fractional quality management, especially our L1 plan, is a good idea, because there is a gray area in there. It's like, is this a support ticket, like a software issue that you really need help with? Or is this more of like, I'm just not sure the right thing to do. I'm not sure how to handle this situation. How do I handle this situation? I just had a customer call because they returned product, but the product that they returned wasn't actually bad. And we need to record this instance, but we don't want to record it as like a non-conformance, like we messed up. And you run into these weird scenarios, and you kind of got to sit there and scratch and think about, like, I'm not really sure what the best way to document this weird situation is either. Let's kind of talk this through a minute. That's where our fractional quality management plan is really awesome, because the L1 plan, what it does, in addition to the QMS checkup that we talked about, where you get you a really nice report each month that shows you all the documents need attention, NCRs, CAPAs, you name it. But we're available for questions. So you can give us an email, give us a phone call. We can go through, answer questions, support for you. There's some limits on it, but it's a pretty rare case that anyone's ever abused it. And if you're asking a question on something, and in my mind, I'm sitting there going, this is really going to turn into like half a day or a full day of working together on it, we'll let you know on it. But more than 9 times out of 10, just give us a call, ask a question. We're available. We'll help you out however we can. Pairs really, really well with TQA Cloud. So I don't think I got nothing else of significance to talk about right now. You got anything, Caleb?
No, I just want to say how much we appreciate the questions and comments, and we really love to hear from people and to see what the where the interest is and all that stuff. So
no, totally agree. And I mean, it's again, this is like the cheesy sales thing to say, but the truth is, all of the recent development we've done has been from from customer feedback. Like, what do they work? Man, it'd be great if we could do this. What if we could do that? Yep. And I think that's why TQA Cloud is truly different from any other software out there. I mean, I look at some of the other competitors in the space, and they've got great tools.
Yeah.
But man, they're really built for that big company, right? They're
Yeah.
built for a company with 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 people. And you got to go through so many steps, so many windows, so many buttons, so many clicks. Small business is never going to attempt to do that. I mean, nor should they.
Or you've had, you know, some sort of custom stuff and then they don't support, like, you know, we've had that example where it's like, we can't even use half the tool now because they've updated it and our system doesn't, you know, reflect that. And like, that is never going to be the case with us, because that's one thing we do is we go through all of the customer stuff and make sure that that's going to fit with the update.
And even if we do, let's say there's been instances of this, they wanted to do an update on, let's say, the NCRs. They wanted to have an extra 10 columns for NCRs because they want to track them differently. And they want to do it very differently. They've got a specific way they want to do it. Well, we're not modifying the NCR module for your customizations. What we're going to do is create a copy of it. We'll customize the copy. That way, you always still have the original. And whenever we do new updates, those updates are always applied to the original module. So if there ever is a change and you kind of scale back, because I will say 9 times out of 10, people add complexities because a specific person wanted the complexities, not because it was the best thing for the company, you still got the originals available. So in case. All right. I think that is all I got. So yeah, definitely. Thank you everyone for listening, tuning in, for the questions. And if you want some information about TQA Cloud, I guess I should give that. I'm sure I'll have all the links down below once I get all this published, finished up. But you just go to texasqa.com. And we've got a whole section on TQA Cloud. You can email us directly, info@texasqa.com, and you can give us a call, 512-548-9001. I'm kind of proud of that phone number. Took me a little while to find the right vanity number. So yeah, 512-548-9001, and we hope to hear from you guys soon. Thank you.